The most dangerous Christian to this world is a Christian that chooses to stop fixating on self and start fixating on their walk with Jesus. And that's where this person is stuck right now. And I mean, that's where so many of us get stuck. When you're so focused on you, and you will never reach the peace that surpasses all understanding until you start focusing on Jesus, not you. Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of answering and discussing Christian Reddit questions and posts. We are those Christian Besties, and my name's Melanie.
And I'm Ashley.
So today's Christian Reddit post is titled Leaving Christianity, I'm Sorry. And they go on to say, I just can't. Christianity is not for me. I do not worship God. He does not bring me joy, safety, etc. My life has been hell. I'm not saying he did these things to me directly or that he needs to solve everything for me, no, but it's hard not to think that he just lets it all happen. He does not help me. I can't worship a God like that. He may be holy, but I don't think of him as good. I'm kind of leaning towards a deist route, to be honest. In 2025, I need to get rid of things that don't serve me. This weird relationship I have with God is one of them. It isn't helping me. I'll pray at the dinner table at family gatherings as to not start arguments with family, but that's it. And regardless of beliefs, I still think the Bible teaches good morals, but I can't do this face stuff anymore. I'm sorry. So, there are so many sides of this that I want to address, but before I go off on an entire thing, did you have anything that you wanted to say first?
Again, always. I always come back to this. I understand
Hmm.
where that I guess thought comes from, the questioning, questioning's not a bad thing.
Yes.
It's seeking, it's wanting to know. It's like, I don't really expect anyone to just kind of like blindly jump into anything without, reason, of course, but just I understand. I've been there with the why is this happening, why is there no good coming from this, why is this happening in my life.
Yeah.
Romans 8:28, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like I have it in my head that God uses all things for the good of those who love him.
Yeah.
It's true. Like everything that someone could mean for bad, so that someone could use against you, all the bad things that happen in our lives, they serve their own purpose. The 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 good, the bad. I mean, I could give you several biblical references to that. I mean, could always go back to Job,
Yeah.
you know. He even says there's a point in, the book of Job where he even says to his wife, like, shall we only receive, good things from God and never, like anything bad? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's really easy to follow, like someone when, they're doing nothing but blessing you, but it's a lot harder to follow into something when, it's hard to follow someone knowing that you're going to have to go through a terrible, like experience to get to the other side.
And really, I mean, when it comes to questions, again, it is that, I mean, are you seeking an answer or are you seeking an argument?
And that is definitely one of those big things where it's like, if you're seeking, it's like, then yeah, just come into the whole entire thing with an open mind, wanting to learn, wanting to know more. But yes, if you're just seeking an argument, then
You're going to get an
it,
argument.
you're gonna get an argument.
You're not going to get anywhere with that. I mean, if you're seeking actual answers, there's something to be gained there, but seeking an argument, you're just going to be miserable.
If you walk into an argument already deciding that the other side is wrong,
Yeah.
you're, then there's no point in even having that conversation. You've already decided.
Yes. Exactly. And that's the thing with seeking, just what are you seeking? Are you seeking an answer or are you seeking an argument? Well, my first thought on this is that I'm going to hold out a lot of hope for this person. I mean, they don't seem to hate God. They don't even seem to think that the Bible is wrong or anything. They just seem to me to not feel like they're seeing the results that they think they should be seeing. And because of that, they're not seeing the point of following God. So, one on that, I got to say, like, 10, 15 years ago, I was way worse off than this. I was just plain angry at all of it and decided to go completely lose my mind. So, already I feel like this person may be in a better position than most. And two, while this post is, of course, sad to me, it's not shocking at all. I mean, quite frankly, this is very on brand, unfortunately, for the path that many Christians go down, again, including me. But three, one thing that I want to throw out here that is something that I too had to get through my own head is that the idea of thinking that because I am a Christian, that God should be serving me is very much backwards thinking. Okay, the fact that I am a Christian means that I serve God. It's not the other way around.
Right, and God's all not a genie. God's not one of those
Nope.
things, "Oh, I said the prayer, so, give me what I asked for."
Yes, exactly. And the funny thing with that is that if you could just grasp that and just go do that and let go of, wanting, okay, and let go of wanting God to serve you and simply go serve Him, your mind will be blown at the doors that will start opening in your life to better and healthier walks of life, better decisions, better relationships and friendships, better mental health, the peace that comes, the joy that comes, the direction that comes. Okay, it is simply a fact that if we utilize the moral standards and practices that this person does seem to know the Bible teaches, that your life will be better for it. So, the funny part to me is that when you truly serve God, this lifestyle of Christianity does, in fact, serve you. But that's just something that you can't really tell people. It's more that they have to experience it for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I I can see it's like I can speak to that even just from like, my own testimony, like, and which honestly hasn't it hasn't been that long of a period for me to sit there and say that, like, oh, this has been like, a lifelong thing. But the the short period of time that I have experienced the drastic changes
Mhm.
that have come with that, it's astounding to me because like I said, we always go back to like we came from different walks of life and still ended up here together.
Yeah.
But I had no clue, no foundation, no anything. And I finally reached a point where I gave up. And I said, and I always go back to it. I said, clearly, I have no clue what I am doing. I
Pretty
have
much.
no clue. I don't know because it's like every direction that I have walked this way, that way, up, down, sideways, every approach I have taken at this, thinking that I've only got me in this, it always ended up at the same spot,
Yeah.
just breaking down and miserable and wanting more, but not really knowing what.
Yes. And I mean, once you again did let go and let God, I mean, I watched it, everybody watched it, your entire life just slowly changing and evolving into this better, thing. And I mean, anyone that has done this will go through that in some, extent, way, shape, form. They will go through that. But again, it just sounds so fairy tale when you say it to someone. Like, if you would just do this.
It does. It absolutely does. But again, speaking from someone who has experienced this,
Yeah.
like when I let go, I completely surrendered, didn't know what to do. And it was funny how that happened because literally right after that, I met my husband, my
Hmm.
now husband, my then not, but my now husband.
Yes.
And it was funny because if you ask him his side of the story, he was at a really bad point in his life too.
Yeah.
And he told me that he broke down and was just like, God, like, I'll get right. I'll start doing everything right. Just send her to me. Just send her
I
to me.
remember that. Yep.
And
And God's like,
It was funny
"Boop."
because and it was funny because none of we wouldn't even have met if he had not been in that place at that time.
Seriously.
And he just decided, "Oh, we're going this way."
Yeah.
And and then when we met, it was like instant like connection. Like I knew, he knew. We wouldn't admit it to each other at the time, but we knew. And here we are almost what is it, 5 years later now?
Yep.
And we're married. We have 2 amazing kids. It's one of those things that it's like, I can sit there and say like, my life is not perfect. It's not. I don't want people to sit there and think, "Oh, well, like the genie aspect. Oh, well, you do this and you get this." No, 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 no. This
No.
was definitely a byproduct of, following Christ. And honestly, following my husband who is very, I guess, a very godly man, very Christ oriented, always points me in that direction. And I think that that was the biggest thing because, again, I had no clue. I was wandering around in the dark, basically, is what it felt
Yeah.
like. And he, even now, when I feel like I'm slipping, he always, points me back to that. Like, well, have you been praying? Have you been in your Bible? Have you? Oh no, well, why don't you just go do the verse of the day? Just do that, do something. And it's funny how he always points me back in that direction. But again, it's like, like I said, our life is not perfect by any means. We have the struggles that everyday people have, like worried about, finances or, our kids and, like if we're being good parents and how we're doing that. We have all those same things like everybody else. But we rest easy at the end of the day knowing that, you know what, even if we don't have it all together, where we start to falter, that's where Christ picks it up for us. We
Exactly.
we rest easy knowing that. And he I will be the first to admit that this is, I am not the best person to sit there and go, let go and let God. That is easier said than done.
Yes.
I'll admit to that wholeheartedly. Like, oh yeah, no, absolutely. It is not easy by any means. My husband is a lot better at that. I am not. But he always reminds me that, it'll work out for the good of us. We may not see it right now. Heck, and he's even pointed this out to me, which is gave me a whole new perspective on it. He said, it may not even be for us, but it'll work out. Whether it's for our kids,
Yep.
for their kids, somebody's life that we touch around us. He's like, it may not work out, for us right away, but it'll work out for something because it's all connected. We're all a part of God's story.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that makes you look at the bigger picture.
And I mean, sometimes people I think don't even know how to do it. Like me, it took me 30 plus years to finally figure out that as someone that had been a Christian their entire life, that I had never figured out how to do this, how to let go and let God. I mean, I wanted control of everything. I thought that I could do it. And I mean, I had good things about me, being a strong woman, that, I put my mind to it. I felt like I could do it. I feel like some of those things are good, but at the same time, I never really could figure out that concept of let go and let God until I literally watched you do it. And I was like, okay, I really need to actually let go. Duh. Like I really need to be like, I am gonna go follow you, and that's it. And what happens, happens. And not until that point, I can say after being a Christian, like my entire life, and taking me 30 plus years to figure out how to actually do this, okay, and realize that I need to let go. I need to just follow God and just see what happens. And my life did not start improving, I can tell you for a fact, until I did that. And again, it's so fairy tale to say that, but we mean it. Okay. Those of us that, actually get to the other side of this and actually do that, the world around us doesn't change, but we change, and how our ability to walk through these things with someone by our side, Jesus, everything changes. And that, following the Bible, following these moral, again, standards and practices or whatever, it's like, eating a healthy diet, your body will get better. Following the Bible, your life will get better. It's just what happens.
It's about you learning to walk through the fire knowing that he's walking with you. It's not gonna destroy you. It's not gonna touch you.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna it's like he's not gonna remove it.
Yes, exactly.
But he's gonna walk with you through it. And while that's hard and that sucks and even downright scary, you once you get through it the first time, it's so easy for you to just be like, okay, you know what? Yeah. Like if he's just like run through the fire and you're like, okay, you know what? You're with me. Okay.
Yeah.
If you say go, then okay, by all means, God send me.
Yes.
Like but it's again, like you say, it's not one of those things you can explain to someone even with that. You have
Yeah.
to experience it of just being like, you know what? I'm gonna let go and I'm gonna trust. Even though I'm scared out of my mind,
Yeah.
even though I'm uneasy and anxiety ridden about this whole thing, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's not, and again, I will say that part, like that's we're humans, we're flesh. It's not easy, but it gets easier
Yeah.
once you start to realize who walks with you.
But there is another thing here that this person might be missing. And I think so many others either miss this too or just flat out refuse to acknowledge this. But God isn't allowing bad things to happen in our lives. People do. Again, something that we were starting to get into a second ago. The world around us doesn't change, okay? People are allowing these things to happen. Okay, all of us, not just the good ones, but all of us have free will. God is not going to reach down and start choosing who he's going to take free will away from today. That doesn't make any sense, okay? God did create a perfect world, but then people chose to disobey God and corrupt it with sin. And God did step in a few times. But then what did we do? We rebuilt and we did it all again. So God finally stepped back and said, the ones that choose me will inherit the kingdom of heaven, and the ones that choose the world will inherit this world. Okay, so you're forgetting that this is not your home. Like these people are forgetting that this is not their home. And this is where a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but God is not the ruler of this world today. If God was the ruler of this world today, then there would be no sin, there would be no evil. God doesn't directly interfere with this world anymore. He even promised that he would stop doing that. I mean, he's been there, he's done that, and we continue to defy him. But there is someone that does try to interfere, the actual ruler of this world today. And before I even say it, this is said not just in one place, but throughout the Bible, yet so many people choose to just gloss over this as much as they can. So I'm going to read this part straight from my notes and I'm going to count all of the verses, that say this, but humanity forfeited its God-given authority. Genesis 1:28 to Satan through sin. Genesis 3 leading to Satan becoming the temporary god of this world. 2 Corinthians 4:4 and ruler of its systems as seen in uh, Luke 4 5 through 7, where Satan offers worldly kingdoms to Jesus, claiming they were given to me. Then there's key passages like 1 John 5:19, the whole world lies in the power of the evil one, and John 12:31, ruler of this world, reinforce this idea of temporary permitted authority. So 6 verses, just there are more, okay? And we're gonna list all of these, okay? 6 verses just right there on who has temporary authority over our world today. God created a perfect world, like I just said a second ago. We messed it up. God tried to interfere. We threw it straight back in his face. Okay? Satan has temporary control over our world. So I just named 6 passages in the Bible showing that Satan is the ruler of the world today. And like it or not, we chose that. And yet we blame God for what's happening down here. but we forfeit a perfect world over and over and over again because we choose sin and not God. And again, he did step in a couple times and we threw it straight back at him. And the other thing is, what did he do in those times that he did step in? I mean, he wiped Sodom and Gomorrah from existence. He flooded the entire planet. Okay, he scattered us all over the world. Find me a city today that is not Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, I'm a little confused at what you'd like him to do at this point. I mean, the only thing that is left for us is the second coming. Because can you imagine if God actually did reach down and start flicking people off the map that were about to do something bad? I mean, personally, I think that sounds great, but at the same time, don't be surprised when there's no one left.
I was gonna say, yeah, but that would be us included just with
Exactly.
that
Okay.
none of us are perfect, you know, like,
Exactly. I mean, it would be a much simpler task to just ask God to wipe our entire planet from existence because it's either that or God takes free will away from all of us. And I don't think that people entirely think this through. I think what you're about to say, okay, you're not going to have a conversation with God, okay, and let him know what the boundaries are here and what should count and what specific things, he should take care of. You're asking for the second coming without knowing it. And for now, this just isn't our home. We are not meant for this world that man has corrupted. John 17:16, it says, "They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world." Our home is in heaven. And we do have a defense to this world. Our defense is through prayer, because he's not going to help us if we don't ask him. We tie God's hand so often with that. Prayer is powerful, but what are you praying for? Because he's not going to change the world around you, like we were just saying a minute ago, okay? But he will guide you through it if you ask him. And another defense is through following Jesus and our service to God. Because again, okay, guys, if you start eating fruits and vegetables and drinking water, you will get healthier. If you start following the Bible, your life will improve in some way, shape, or form. It's just a fact. And Psalms 7:10, okay, my defense is of God. And I'm sure y'all have heard to put on the armor of God, Ephesians 6:10 through 18. Okay, these trials and this hell that you're going through will become less of an issue to you if you can just fix your eyes on Jesus and not your surroundings. Again, going back into what we were saying earlier.
I know it's I don't know if it's really relevant or not, but one thing that I've can definitely like little tidbit I can throw in as far as, the world is insane around us. Not everything, but
Not
a
everything.
lot of
Yeah.
a lot of things that are taking place. It's, scary, it's insanity, it's madness, if you will. And it's very, especially, I know a lot of mothers out there, especially parents in general, like we look at
Yeah.
the world around us, it's real easy to get caught up in the scary of the world.
Yeah.
But one thing that, I do hold on to, a couple of things I hold on to. One is that, my husband, he likes to remind me, well, God knew that the world needed our kids and that he made them for such a time as this. And so to always, trust in that. And then the other thing is when you start to find yourself too busy focused on the scary around you, it's really hard to be anxious or fearful when you have a thought process of gratitude. And I know that's easier said than done.
Yes.
I know that that is easier said than
Yeah.
done. You'd be surprised at how grateful you can be for things when you look at them a different way. And I've personally had to do this many, many a time. Like for example, I have a strong-headed 4-year-old girl. I do. And I adore her to pieces. I do. But like I said, strong-headed. And there have been plenty of times where we all catch the toddler fits. We do. It's
Mhm.
inevitable. Toddlers, they're learning how to be people.
Yes.
And at one point, and I would like to remind myself of this moment where there was a point where she was throwing the biggest fit. and just all out screaming, crying, tears, and while I wanted to be mad, I don't know, you know, how to, like, explain the feeling, but it's like something came over me that was like, "Wow, thank God that my daughter is strong enough, her body is healthy enough that she can flail around like that and scream like that and throw that fit."
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
God. And it's well, like, I don't know what came over me, but it was just like, "You know what? I'll take it."
I love it.
Thank thank God she is healthy enough to do that, because there are kids that are in, hospital beds. There are parents
Yeah,
that don't even have their children to hold right now, and mine is over there flailing about like a mad person because her muscles work, her lungs work. She has a voice, and I'm like, "You
I
know what?
love it.
I'm I'm thankful for that."
My goodness.
I will say that was not me, because I would
Yeah,
be like, "What kind of foolishness is this going on?" But I feel in my body, in my spirit, I feel like God was just like, "You need this at this point in time because I know that you want to be overwhelmed at this point, but look at this. Look at it this way."
yeah,
And it's like so many times in my life have I done that. That, little tidbit about my life, my husband, he works over the road. And while I can sit there and focus so often on the fact that I miss him, it's like, you know what? Thank God I have a husband to miss.
mhm, yeah,
And honestly, thank God I have a husband that, whose presence is so strong and so heartfelt while he's here, that we all miss him that much.
yeah,
And it's, again, I know that it's easier said than done. It is easier said than done. But it's easier to look at the world less scary or less, like, fearful and anxious when you start looking at things like that. Everything is a blessing. We may not see it right away. You might have to look at it, like, from a real wonky angle,
yeah.
but it's there.
No, it's really funny that you brought that up because I actually just saw that this week. It's another Christian influencer that I follow, and he brought up the verse. I'll find the verse and I'll put it in the description. But this is a perfect example, okay? That this is in the Bible. That when you're anxious, to start focusing on what you are grateful for, and this is actually something that has been studied and proven. Okay, that if you allow look if you start counting like a gratitude list or something or whatever, that it is almost impossible to be anxious at the exact same time, that it immediately starts to switch your focus. And I actually have started doing this. I was doing this morning, so it's too funny that you brought that up. I was doing that literally this morning because I was having
But
anxiety about this episode, and I started
it's funny how it
counting
works
it.
out like that, though. But,
Yeah,
like, you just man, I started doing this with my daughter just because she's been having a little bit of anxiety about her daddy not being home.
yeah,
And so one of those things that it's like I wake up and I do, especially every morning. I try to do this. I'm not, again, not perfect, but I try to wake up and it's like the first thing is like, "He woke me up again. Thank God."
yes,
Thank God he
yep,
woke me
was
up
saying it
again.
this morning.
And I'm here with the first thing I see usually is my daughter and my son. And it's like, thank God they're still here, they're healthy, you start your day that way so that you can start carrying those things throughout the day. They say the way you start your day is the way that you'll go through your day, the way
Yes,
that you'll end your day, and so it's like, I tried. Again, not perfect, none of us are,
yep.
but it's a thought to, you throw out there and say, "Well, maybe if you try this, try it. You got nothing to
Just
lose."
try it. Yeah, just try it. The most dangerous Christian to this world that is under Satan's rule for now is a Christian that chooses to stop fixating on self and start fixating on their walk with Jesus. And that's where this person is stuck right now. And I mean, that's where so many of us get stuck. When you're so focused on you, and you will never reach the peace that surpasses all understanding until you Start focusing on Jesus, not you. But to this person, you're not the only Christian to walk down this path. I mean, ask all of the Christians in the Bible that we so often put on these pedestals like they weren't also humans themselves.
I mean, we could go down the list of how many, several stories in the Bible where, these people that are obviously noteworthy to be mentioned, but, and you're right that we do put on pedestals.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones that I always come back to with that is David. Everybody
Mhm.
knows the story of David and Goliath. Everybody
Yes.
knows, you know, but it's like what a lot of people don't know is that David made mistakes too, and he's even mentioned in the Bible as a man after God's own heart.
Exactly.
And but again, just like the rest of us, he made mistakes. Most people don't know that after David, killed Goliath, that his story did not end there.
Nope.
There's also you know it goes on about what happens with King Saul before he became king, before David became king, and then of course when he becomes king. I don't know how many people know about the story of David and Bathsheba, but
That happened.
talk talk about a major, turn and, you know, like David, what were you thinking, sir?
Basically, David saw another woman, I think bathing, in another, house or whatever. And he was like, I want that one. Okay, bring her to me. Okay. And when the husband didn't want to go along with his plan, with David's plan of sleeping with this man's wife, he put this man at the front of an army to die. Okay.
Yep.
Because the husband was like, "No, I'm not going along with this." And David was like, "Well, I want your wife." And like Ashley's saying, this is a man after God's own heart. Okay. And this is a great man in the Bible. He really was a wonderful, example and good man in the Bible. Yet that's not the only mistake that he made. Okay. He had an entire life of ups and downs, just like any other human being. Hopefully, not like any other human being, because honestly, some of the characters in the Bible that we do put on pedestals did some pretty horrible things. I gotta be honest, in their lives, and still, despite themselves, were used by God to do great things. Okay.
Yeah, there's several that you can, like, I mean, that if we're gonna be like, here, we'll use some of the more familiar character, I guess, people in the Bible. Like some of the more familiar people would be like Moses.
Mm-hmm.
It's like before Moses, led his people out of, Egypt, he murdered a man.
Yep.
And Gideon,
Mm.
which he questioned God quite a bit. He is very uncertain, if you will.
And so many
And
of us do that.
he tested God so many times. And I mean, and even in the New Testament, you can go with one of the disciples who didn't believe that it was Jesus, and he Jesus told him, "Come, put your finger in my hand here."
Yeah.
And like you said, so many of us oftentimes we question things, but one of those things that I've been looking at here recently, especially when I've been reading in the Bible lately, is that God has so much grace for all of us, and He
Thank
accounts
God.
for flaws,
Yeah.
the fact that we question, the fact that we're uncertain, the fact that I mean, He designed each one of us. He makes, he has that leeway, I guess, if you will, for our faults. He knows that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that some of us, are, impatient. He knows that some of us will question everything that, it gets put in front of our face. He designed us that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he accounts for all of those things. And you will not stand in the way of, like of your blessing, of your, like breakthrough, of any of that. He's accounted for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all you have to do is trust and hold on to his robe and keep on going.
Yes. And just be thankful that for that. I mean, seriously, thank God for the grace of God because without it,
And that's one of the other things I want to point out to people, especially I know a lot of people go into the Bible reading, looking for themselves in the Bible. And that's one of those I've done that. And while yes, they are, good morals and good teachings and good lessons and everything else in between, a lot of what happens in the Bible speaks to God's character. It's about him. And it's for us, but it's about him.
yeah,
And just like we see time and time again his grace, his mercy. And I know, a lot of people don't look at it from that angle. And it took me a while to do this as well. But from the angle of reading through the Bible and looking for who God is. And so many times, even in just like the beginning, I can give you a perfect example. Genesis. Everybody may not knows of the story of Adam and Eve.
hmm,
And the big thing with that is that, that when they ate the fruit and they, you know, committed, sin basically. And God, he's seeking after them. And even before, neither one of them had even repented yet. And he's still reaching for them. He still wants
yeah,
to know what happened. He's still giving them the chance. And then even when he like makes them leave the garden, the first thing he does is he clothes them.
yeah,
He could have just kicked them out and said, all right, you're on your
deal with
own. But
it.
he
Yeah,
he clothed them. And you know, he still he blessed them. Like, while people are thinking, well, they got kicked out of the garden. I know, but they still, he blessed them with children. And obviously they had to learn to survive on their own, but he blessed their harvest and their livestock and all these other things that took place. And most people, yeah, they screwed up and he still like he disciplined them,
yes, yeah. But he didn't leave
but
them.
but didn't leave them. And
Yes,
that's I know that's a hard thing to grasp, especially when you think that God's punishing you for whatever, but it's like God doesn't punish us the way that we think he does. And I had that thought process for a while too, which was, oh, all these bad things are happening. I don't know who I made mad of there, but it's like
right.
nobody,
Nobody.
nobody. It's like you made it through all those things, didn't you?
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, they suck, but they all served their purpose some way, somehow. And again, I know it's one of those things that it's easier said, and you have to experience for yourself. You can't just tell someone constantly expecting them to understand. They have to experience it.
Exactly. And I mean, the longer that you run from God, one of two things will happen here. Either this world will make you miserable through your own actions, or it will give you everything that you ever wanted. Okay, because the devil has no use in attacking someone that he has already won over.
Yeah, that reminds. That's funny. That reminds me of the you and I were talking about it earlier in the week. The movie clip.
Yes. Yeah.
The movie clip that I had seen it and I mentioned it to you. I'll read it here. The quote from the movie that made me think of this right now.
Yeah.
But it's a man and a woman interacting, and she has dementia. And he says to her, he's sitting there while she's just kind of like staring off into the distance. He says, "You prayed and believed your whole life, never done anything wrong, and here you are, you are the nicest person I know, and I am the meanest. You have dementia. My life is perfect. Explain that to me." To which again, she's just staring off into the distance and she responds. She says, "Sometimes the devil allows people to live a life free of trouble because he doesn't want them turning to God." Their sin is like a jail cell, except it's all nice and comfy, and there doesn't seem to be any reason to leave. The door is wide open until one day time runs out and the cell door slams shut, and then suddenly it's too late.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
to expand on that a little bit, I know very often people look at the world around them, especially, and go, why does that person have everything? That
Yeah.
person's terrible. They have everything. Or, that person doesn't believe and they have everything. But it's like, again, just that the everything that you're looking at, it's like and it's like I'm not attacking anyone. It's like I thought this way for a while too, where it's like the view is very misconstrued. And when I say that, the everything you're looking at is the world around you.
Yes.
It's not everything. It's not.
It's
It's just
not.
the comfort of the world. That's all that it is. The
Yes.
comforts, the pleasures, the whatever, the sins of this world. That's what that is. Those, it's not everything. And I sit there and I look at it all too often, like I see people around me who have all the money in the world and go and travel, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with traveling. Travel
Yeah.
and see everything and all the beautiful places in the world, and they're still empty. They're still just
That part.
constantly looking for the next thing. Let me buy the next thing. Let me buy the latest thing. Let me buy a new car. Let me take another trip. Maybe then I'll feel better. They're chasing something constantly.
Yes.
And you still wind up empty because you're trying to fill that emptiness with the things of this world, and it doesn't work.
Nope.
There's people, I had a pastor who constantly said, as long as I have Jesus, I have everything.
That.
And it is that, because the things of this world will fade away. You can't take it with you. You can't take your car, you can't take your money, you can't take your house, your any of that.
It's temporary.
You can't take it all with you. And this is one of those things and I used to say this to you a lot of the time when, you were having, thoughts about, whether, failing and this and that. And I mean, we as mothers, we talk back and forth and try to support each other.
Yep.
But especially as parents, there is only, especially as parents, I love to stress that enough, especially as parents, there's only one thing that we really have on this planet that we might have a guarantee of taking to heaven with us, and that is our children.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important, to raise them up with, with Christ, with God, the good and the bad. It is important to see all of it. I don't want my daughter to, and my son, my daughter's more cognitive right now, my
Yeah.
son's a baby, to grow up and think that only, like God is only with you in the good things. And I
Yeah.
think that is the big thing that I stress. So it's like, there's been many a time where she's caught me crying. And it's like, Mama, what's wrong? You know, Mama's just sad. Well, what are you doing? Well, Mama's praying. Because Jesus will help you? Yes, because Jesus will help. And it's just that. It's that simple. I can't tell you how many times I have caught my daughter when she's, at night when she might be scared, or even just in the middle of like playing where she'll just say, like, praise the Lord. And I don't know where she got that from, but she does it.
Yes.
But it's just those things there. All the things of this world are temporary. And as Christians, the only thing that we have a possibility of taking with us to heaven is people.
Yes. Everything here is so temporary. None of it's gonna last.
It's like now, it's like, and I don't want people to confuse that with, is it wrong to want better for your family? No.
No.
But it is wrong to make that the entire, bane of your existence.
Make it your god.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Your idol. will.
Yes.
And that's one of those things that I know that even I, can struggle with when it comes to, certain things, where it's like, only when, like this happens will this only when, and it's like, it's real easy to get caught into that mindset
Yes.
because I read something earlier in the week where it says idolatry, idols, they're subtle. You don't realize it's happening until you're in the depths of it and you're like, wait a minute.
Yes.
It's real easy to get caught up in making that your like you said, your God, if you will. It's
Mhm.
real easy to sit there and go, "Oh, when I, when I have this big nice house or when I have all this money, I'll be happy." Not saying it's wrong to want a nice house,
Mhm.
but and it's a very fine line to walk.
Yes, so many things are. But really to end my thoughts on I think kind of a cool note, I wanted to kind of mention this. Heaven actually rejoices more over you returning to God than heaven rejoices over all of the other Christians that are already following God. Okay. Check out, I'm sure a lot of you have read this, Matthew 18:12 and 13, where, he leaves the 99 and he talks about that and he rejoices when he finds them. He's not mad, okay? He rejoices in finding that sheep and bringing them back, and he leaves the 99 for just the one, okay? And you may have left God, but God has never left you. And he is waiting to celebrate you when you return. And I ran from God, but finally came back. Knowing something like that is a comfort to me, that he didn't hate me for running. He was just happy that I came back and that he would leave the 99 to go find the one, and he would rejoice when that one comes back more than the 99 that are already there. I think that's a big thing to me.
Like that makes me think of a song which is
Okay.
newer this by Phil Wickham. It's
Yes.
called Running to a Runaway.
Yes.
And one of the lines in there that I absolutely love is he says, "You're running to a runaway, and I love that I could not escape." And basically,
Yeah.
it's just that, like,
Yeah.
God's always reaching after us, no matter how far down you fall, no matter how far you think you've run, it's he's always and I always say that from my own experience too. It's like even when I know that I'm going in a bad direction or in a direction I shouldn't be going, or I start to fall into, a mindset that I know I shouldn't be in, it's always like he's reaching after me.
Mhm.
It's like, that's another song, Leanna
Yeah,
Crawford.
yeah.
Very music
We could
oriented
go
over
on and
here.
on and on about all the songs that we love.
Yeah, you really could, but it's like he's always reaching after me.
Yeah.
I do. I absolutely love it when it's like you're getting ready to just bolt, and it's like you almost feel like that presence just like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you know, I'm here. I'm still here." And it's comforting. It's mind-blowing, if you
It's mind
will.
blowing. And
Just
it doesn't matter how far you go. I mean, you can always come back, okay? And they're gonna throw a party, a little party in heaven for you just coming back. They're not gonna worry about everything that you did, where you were, what was going on. Fact that you came back is a cause for celebration. It's not a cause for getting on to you, being mad at you or anything. It is literally just a cause for celebration that the lost sheep came back. That's it.
oh,
I love that.
oh, yeah. It's like the same in, one of the parables that Jesus does, the prodigal son.
Yes.
The same thing here where,
Same thing.
even he goes and he does all the screw ups, and then he comes home and he even tells his father, like, "I'm not worthy," and he's like, "You're home," and he, like,
Yes.
dress you know, dresses him with, the finest things and, puts a ring on his hand, and he's like, "We're gonna celebrate."
Yeah.
And because he's like, "You've come home." And it's
Exactly.
again, it's just that. This isn't home. This is
Doesn't.
where we're wandering. You're One day we'll go home.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
And it's It really is. It's really just it's an amazing feeling, and one of, like, the best ways that I can describe that actually taking place that I've seen, I've witnessed, is, there was a Sunday I went to church with my mom when I was, visiting, and I watched several people get baptized, and to see the commotion of the church rejoicing as these people are getting baptized,
Yeah.
it's that. Celebrating. It's something to be
Yes.
celebrated. It's like you're coming back. And, I, that experience, it just filled my heart with so much joy to witness that, watching all these people from all walks of life, you know, all sizes, ages, shapes, colors, everything, and they're all rejoicing for that moment.
Yep.
And it's just such an amazing feeling.
Well, guys, that was our first episode covering a Christian Reddit post. Stay tuned for episode 2. We'll be discussing a post that is titled, I'm terrified that I'll end up in hell. And we'll be getting into the anxiety that a lot of us Christians have, just wondering if we are truly saved. And again, if you have any prayer requests or testimonies, we'd love to pray over you either privately or on our Prayer Wednesday episodes, or share your testimony on our Testimony Thursday episodes. And you can send those all to jesus.coffee.yarn11@gmail.com. But until next time, guys, we love you. Jesus loves you.
We love you guys. God bless.
Bye, guys.